Too many people, too many of us, too often take for granted how special this life is. And that is not to be misinterpreted. I don't mean special as a way where we think of ourselves as inflated or grand or somehow better than something else. That's not what I mean by special. I mean that this is a very unique opportunity to experience separateness and individuality in this way that we have, this way where consciousness is attached to only one body, just one individual body. That's it. It's just consciousness attached to one individual, and that individual, that animal, becomes like a puppet, and consciousness does what it wants with it. And anyone can do any number of things. We've seen people do great things, we've seen people do horrible things, but there is a freedom here that should not be taken for granted. It should not be taken for granted that we have control as of right now over this individual body. Too often we don't think about, or we don't remember, or we don't realize how unique of an experience this is. And maybe it's hard to think of it as unique because we look and we see how many billions of others. It appears common. But can you tell me about the other time that you were a human? Can you fill me in on that? Can you tell me the story of one of your other lives? I don't believe that you can. I believe that all that you have ever known is this life. So don't take that for granted. I have done this too much. You have done this too much. Everybody has done this too much. This is a very unique opportunity to experience separateness. I don't believe that this is where awareness or souls or consciousness comes from. I don't believe it comes from a place of separateness. I believe that it comes from a place of oneness, where even if there are individual selves in a way, they're not experienced how they are here. There aren't individual bodies that can fuck off and go play video games and leave the community behind while the community does what it does. I believe that everything is connected and everything is whole, and everyone, if there are individuals, which there seem to be, all individual awarenesses, all individual selves only exist to serve the whole that is created by the group. The whole cannot exist without all of the individual selves, but they only exist to serve the group. They only exist to serve the one whole group. What's going on with these spirits, these souls, these consciousnesses? What are their goals? I don't know. I can't understand it. I don't even know how this is happening, but it seems like it's happening. We come from a place of oneness. We come from a strong community. Strong is an understatement. We come from a true community. A community like we have never seen on Earth. Earth has known, I believe, some small communities. Maybe it currently knows some small tribal communities that come really close to a true community. But what we come from is a pure and real community. A community that one cannot be shunned from or kicked out of. So here, we're in a unique situation. We have an animal body that has animal desires and cravings and wants and needs. And it loves to own things. It loves to possess things and fight over its possessions and things like this. This comes natural to an animal. It's part of survival. It's in our DNA. It's a part of who we are. But the other part is this this consciousness, this soul, if you will. You can use whatever word you want. I just don't really even know what to call it, but there's this awareness that comes together with this animal body, and then now we live this life. And it seems as though by coming into contact with this animal body, our awareness is limited in many ways. It closes itself off. It becomes this self-contained thing. And that is where the blessing of this life begins. That is where when I say that this life is special, that's where that begins. For consciousness to close itself and be this self-contained item, to be this animal monkey body that walks around and lives life and does all that it does and everything, that is very unique, and that is not common. It is not what we come from. It is not what we know. This is sort of new territory. But I think it's important that we remember how blessed we are to even exist in this current state. Do you know why we are here? Neither do I. I don't think anybody really knows. We can create a purpose. We can have a career. We can have goals. We can accomplish things here that make us feel like, and maybe we can tell ourselves, this is why I'm here and whatever. But nobody really knows what this is. Nobody has really been able to understand and explain in a way that is true or correct what dreams are. What is dreaming? I've had, and I continue to have, experiences that show me what is possible with consciousness, what consciousness can become, what consciousness is, and what it has been, maybe in another place or in another time or outside of time, what it can be, what consciousness can be without the element of time, just by removing time alone, what it becomes. I have experiences that show me what it can be and show me all of these different possibilities with it. And then those experiences grant me a certain level of perspective on this limited human pet life. I have this human. I watch over it. I take care of it or I don't take care of it. It's something, it's such a unique feeling, but we take it for granted because it doesn't seem unique. It's all we've known. But to give yourself perspective in any way that you can, any way that you know how. In my case, it is through the use of what some might call a plant teacher, or an entheogen, or whatever words you want to use. These things, what I would consider, to use religious terms, sacrament. Right? To me, it's a sacrament. To use that to gain this flash, this window into what consciousness can be, what it is. Again, I don't know if this is what consciousness is in another time, outside of time, in another place. But I've been able to witness, and I have now this access whenever I want. Whenever I feel, I can access it again. This perspective of what a true community is, what true community feels like. I see how others, how individuals can become one whole, and how they can exist as a true community. Many beings working together or moving together to become a larger being. And through that, I imagine, these many beings can now accomplish much more than one individual being could ever accomplish. The community becomes this great being, this great presence that has unspeakable power. I feel blessed to even know that that exists. regardless of the fact that 99.99% of the time I have no awareness of it. When I do remember, or when I do once again access it, when I do once again experience that perspective and I'm able to see that, that is a blessing. That is something that I'm incredibly grateful for, because without that, I don't know what my life would be or how I would put things into perspective here. Because all I do know is where I'm at now. So all I do know is that with that perspective granted to me by this sacrament, I can see more about how special and how blessed I am to even have ever been afforded this opportunity to attach myself to this body and be born into the family that I was born into, with family members who have taken care of me and supported me in one way or another and helped me. I don't know what life is. I don't know if this is like, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't say what this is for. But it very much feels like it's just an open playground and things are happening. When we see some of the evil things that can be done in this world, especially, well, not especially, but either as an individual, there can be a very evil individual who does great evil acts, or there can be sometimes a more profound evil when you see a group of individuals work to spread their influence in the world. Seeing that alone shows us how much of a free will zone this really is. I don't believe we come from what would be called a free will zone. I don't believe that that is the source. I don't believe that this great community of awarenesses that exists outside of time or in this other place or whatever that is, I feel no hostility. I feel no evil. I feel no separateness. I feel nothing but acceptance and lightheartedness, as if the community is saying, do whatever you want, feel however you want. You know, there's no punishment, there's no this, there's no that. It's just, it's amazing. It's amazing to now sit here in this chair feeling like I'm a body. I feel like I am a human being. I feel like I am an animal again. But I'm reminded deeply that no, I am not an animal. I have been afforded this unique opportunity to raise an animal. I am raising one of them. And I get to experience what it feels like to live among them. What it feels like to be one. What it feels like to taste food and to have sex and to swim and to run. A part of me is interested to know, like, is there a purpose? Is there a function for life on this planet? Or is it really just what it feels like? Is it just that this is a free will playground, do as you please, and experience this unique perspective, this unique experience of being something that dies, being something that lives, being something that eats and poops, being something that does all of these things, being something that sometimes stinks, you know, being something that damn, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how when I don't remember that I have ever been, or that it is even possible, that's what I should say. When I don't remember that it is possible for consciousness to be something that is so great that it is beyond anything we can even begin to imagine, when I forget about that, and all of my awareness just totally, not only is it just completely contained within this body, but then it goes up inside of the mind, and it just stays really deep inside of the mind of the animal body, in the animal mind, I guess. I get to this horrible place where I don't know. It's like I'm trapped. It's like there is no free will. It's just suffering. There's just so much suffering, mental suffering and confusion, and not knowing this and that, and never feeling satisfied, and always trying to fill some kind of a void or something like that. Like when you go to the full, maybe, well, I can't say that I've been to the full extent or the far reaches, but when you go deeper and deeper into solitude and into separateness, and feeling separate and feeling misunderstood or different than other people, and whatever, it doesn't feel good. There's a level that feels good. There's a certain level. For example, I've reached a point in my individual life now as a human animal where I care much, much, much less about how others view me and what they think about me and what they think my life is or what they think I'm doing. I care much less about that now than I did like when I was a child, for example, where I cared so much back then about what did my parents think, what did my peers think, and this and that. And now I'm much better at just doing what I want to do and doing what satisfies me and fulfills me. As selfish as that is, that to me is a positive. That's a plus. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people think it's weird that, for example, I like to spend a lot of time alone, and not involve myself with a lot of plans for recreation, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people, they're already working their lives away to earn a living in order to survive in our structure, at least in this area, in our society, in this structure. You need money. It's expensive around here. We already work our lives away just to get that money, but then some people feel obligated to kind of now fraction their recreational time into, oh, I have to go to this thing, oh damn, I'm gonna go here, I have to go meet up with this, and blah blah blah. It's like constant busyness, never any peace, never any relaxation, never any freedom. I am blessed to be in a place where I have some personal freedom and some time where I can do whatever the hell I want. And I don't feel guilty being honest with someone and telling them that I'd rather just stay home. It's a shame that oftentimes I think others take that personally and they think, oh man, he doesn't like me, or man, they think it's rude or whatever. But I feel more comfortable being honest than lying and saying, oh, sorry, I've made another arrangement to do something else, you know. So there is a benefit. What the whole point? I'm rambling a little too much here. There's a point. There's some good stuff about being alone and being separate. But when you go really deep, and I guess it's more of a mental attitude, when you disconnect yourself from others and dissociate or something like that, there's an anxiety, there's an unease that comes along with that. And the true blessing here of these plant teachers, of these sacraments, is that, at least for me, they allow me to remind myself, or maybe to see for the first time. Either way, it doesn't matter. They remind me. They help me to see something that is indescribable. I don't know the word. Something that cannot even be understood out loud. When I had this experience just today, out loud, I remember saying, how? I was asking how. There was no answer, but how was the question that came up. How can this be? And I may never know how, but there is no denying that this is happening. How is this happening? How am I sitting here breathing, living, existing as an animal, in this monkey body. How is this possible? I don't know. But I do know that it is. Okay? Somehow, and I may not be explaining this properly, but somehow that alone just makes me feel good. It makes me feel at ease. It makes me feel like so much weight has been lifted off my shoulders. It's just a perspective thing. There is no way to gain perspective on being an animal when you're fully just living as an animal, day in, day out, moment to moment, constantly you're an animal. We do so much, let me think of the word here. We do so much, basically our minds, my mind, I'll speak for myself here, my mind misguides me. My mind will take something where maybe there was a good lesson there, but it hijacks the lesson. It finds something to possess and something to hold on to and something to like fluff itself up a little bit, and it tries to use whatever the lesson could have been in order to make itself more great or more grand or something like this. This is just a constant, desperate habit of the mind, of my animal mind. Trying to possess more and more things, whether they're physical, material things or things in the form of information. Possession. My animal mind and my animal body along with it loves to possess something. It loves to possess many things. It feels good to have something of your own. It's a very pleasing but sort of unevolved spiritually concept. Like, again, through the filter of this plant teacher experience, I see how none of that matters. Belongings, possessing something, owning something is so trivial and so meaningless when you consider what is possible with any community, a great community where the goals of the community are more important than the goals of my individual self, where the value as a whole being, where the value of the community itself is greater than my own individual value. Where a community that is so great, I would sacrifice myself, meaning I would sacrifice all of my personal energy that could be used to do all of whatever. The personal energy could be used to self-serve and self-satisfy and meet my cravings and everything. But the community is so great that I would feel better to sacrifice all that and give to the community. To see that that's even possible, okay? Whether it's imagined or not, whether it's a hallucination or not, to see that that is even possible, to see that consciousness can do that, is a really important thing, because when I'm only looking at Earth, when I forget about all of that, when I go back whenever to a time where I am blind to this perspective, to a time where I am totally in my mind as an animal body, and I look at the Earth, I don't see that as a possibility. When I see big communities, I see communities that have been hijacked by leaders or authority figures, people who they supposedly have more value than the rest of the community. Oh, how strange. What kind of a community is that, That's a strange one, and that's what I see. That's what I see here. That's what I see everywhere. People being put in boxes against their will because they didn't do what some other community members thought was supposed to be prohibited behavior or something like this, There's just some weirdo shit going on here on Earth. But it's so normal to us, and again, we take everything for granted. We allow it. We say, okay, it's okay. this is how we live, this is what's normal, but it's not normal. It's not normal. It's not what we come from. It's not what we should be moving into. I don't know if it's possible. And again, like I said, look, from a human perspective, from an animal perspective, I don't think it is possible. But if it is possible to create this great community that I have seen, if we could create that on Earth, not individual communities, which we have, this church and that mosque and that synagogue and that whatever, communities that are like self-contained and they don't like those other, oh, we don't agree with them, and these separate little things, like that's, I mean, maybe it's better than nothing. Maybe that's better to be involved with one of those than it is to be absolutely disconnected from the community experience as a whole. But what we need, and like again, is it possible? I think it's unlikely. But what we would need in order to experience true fulfillment and the true potential of our souls would be to have one great. Even saying it just sounds stupid and silly. One great human community. Because a part of me wonders now, talking about all this. Maybe that's the thing. There already exists a community that is undeniable and that is perfect. Why should we create that here? Maybe this is just a playground for individuality. A sandbox for individuality. Here is some individuality. Do what you will with it. It's not a test. You won't be punished. You won't be rewarded. Experience it. It only lasts a certain amount of time. It's unique. Experience it. See what it's like. Maybe that's what this is. That's how I've been treating it. That's what I've been doing with it most of my life here. I'm not aware of any community that I'm a part of other than the individual ones. I have a community of coworkers and my own personal family and whatnot. There's small little communities, but there's no larger community with the grand purpose that I am dedicating my entire life to. I think that would be very satisfying and fulfilling if there were one, but I see none in sight. Not where I live, not in my society. I see individual freedom. I see people doing what they will. Thanks for listening to me in this video. I think I'll end it now. I mean, I could just talk forever about this. I made another video as well. I might even put some of that up. I might upload that. I may not. I may not even upload this. I don't know. But I felt like just talking about this. Lately, I don't feel like making videos. Because I believe and I feel pretty strongly that, especially when trying to speak about awareness or trying to speak about soul or spirit or consciousness or the spirit realm or any of these experiences, or trying to speak about even any plant teacher experiences, any words we use, any words I used end up just becoming a lie. We don't have honest words in our language. Because as soon as I start to use these words that I'm desperately trying to use to explain this incredible experience that is, to me, very sacred and not to be taken lightly. Not only just the use of my words, but how others interpret them. It all becomes this muddying of the waters. Everything becomes blurry now, and people start interpreting the words to mean whatever they want them to mean, whatever their mind wants them to mean. They might interpret a description of some sacred experience to mean that, oh, that individual had a hallucination. That means nothing to me. Or they might interpret it, they might create this whole fantasy realm of what they think, what they think it's like. But the experience is the only thing that is the truth. The experience will shatter the fantasy and the personal ideas about something like that. So it's hard to want to make videos speaking about things when speaking is a lie. Speaking is misleading. Words are lies. Words are untrue. There are no true words. Words are great for misleading people. Words are great for confusing people. Words are great for controlling people and making them feel how you want them to feel. Words are great at doing evil shit. And maybe some individuals are really good at making people feel good with their words and uplifting them and inspiring them. But still, looking at that, I feel that the words are untrue. The only thing that is true is experience. So experience as much as you can. Experience what you can. Experience what you want.